What is up, everybody? My name is Bobby. I do music. Today we are checking out on the board the Wampler Ratsbane, which is Wampler's take on the Proco Rat style circuit with his own couple of twists. This came out a few years ago, and I had been, building my pedal board. I mentioned in an earlier video that the way I was building my analog rig was to do sort of basically a real world version of what you get inside modelers because I'm greedy, I guess. I don't know. I like it in the physical form. So I was about to just order a regular Proco Rat off of, Sweetwater or whatever, and Wampler dropped the Ratsbane. And I was like, well, now I got to have that because I love Wampler's drive pedals. So picked it up, and here we are. It is every bit as nasty as I had hoped and more. But I've had this for a couple years now, and it's one of my favorites for just getting a nasty sound, like an old, unrefined, hairy, almost untamable sound. So let's go through it. Signal chain really quick. The Ibanez S320 with the deactivator humbuckers. I am going into the Synergy, well, first the Ratsbane, and then the Synergy B-Man module, which is their Fender Bassman sort of thing. Sounds like this. Just breaking up. If I go to the neck pickup in single coil. Very clean. So we're letting the pedal do all the work here. And that's going into my two notes, Torpedo Live with the same Mesa Boogie 4x12 that I use on all of my demos, so there's consistency there. And we've got the usual touch of delay and reverb from the Walrus Mako M1 and D1. Yeah. So let's dive right into it. So we've got three knobs, volume, distortion, and filter. And then we've got two switches. The switch on the left here, gain, is a three-way switch. The voice switch is two-way. So let's talk about that first, just so you know where we're starting. The gain switch in the middle position is the stock gain structure. Gain bump to the left adds a little bit of gain to the upper mids. It kind of focuses it there. And then gain to the right gives you just overall more distortion. And then the voice switch to the left is the classic Proco Rat. It's a little scoopy. And then to the right, it's a little bit more modern, a little bit more forward, a little less fizzy, and a little bit more mid-forward. So right now, I've got it in what you would consider the stock mode, gain in the middle, voice to the left. And we'll start with it there. We'll dive into the other controls, and then we'll go through how those switches work. So starting, of course, we've got volume, and I'm going to leave the filter at noon, and we'll start with the distortion so you can hear how much we have on tap. So this is it all the way off. And then this is the pedal on and the gain all the way off. Not really doing a whole lot. It's a pretty obvious jump as soon as you bump the gain to the right spot. Right there. Let's start winding the gain up. Plenty of gain on tap. You're never going to be like, man, I wish this thing had more. And it does, but we'll get to that switch in a little bit. So yeah, it gets from kind of ratty to almost like bordering into fuzz, but it's got less of that square wave fuzz thing and more just this unruly thing. I love it's just raw and uncontrollable. I love it. But it starts kind of ratty and down all the way to even just past noon here. And of course, the amp's going to react differently if I goose the volume in. We get a little bit more mid-range out of this particular amp module, and it's a little bit more scooped. And of course, a volume drop, but it's such a fun pedal. I love this thing. So let's talk about the filter really quick. It is the same as a standard Proco Rat. If you don't know, with the filter all the way counterclockwise, it is your full range signal. It's going to be very bright, very open. As you wind the filter clockwise, turning the knob up as it were, you're going to take out some high-end, filter that off. So think of it as the filter amount, how much you're taking off. So all the way down, it's going to be very bright. So yeah, that's how the filter works, and that's how it sounds, and it gets it right good and dark, but, you know, and all the way back, it's just raspy and fizzy, and you've got everything in between. So that's the filter. That's how that works. Let's talk about the gain switch. So I've wound the distortion back down to about 9 o'clock, and we've got something about like this. So with the gain in the center position, that's going to be the stock Proco Rat setting. You move it to the left, and it's going to accentuate sort of the mids, upper mids into that distortion, almost like a mid hump before it. And that sounds like this, starting in the center position, and then I'll knock it to the left. So it pushes the mids a little bit more forward without distorting the low end as much. And then if we move the gain switch to the right, it just gives us more gain overall. So I'm going to go back to the center position. So you've got that available to you, especially if for whatever reason you're, rocking out in normal center gain mode with the distortion all the way up, and this isn't enough for you for some reason. Give it some more. I have a noise gate on right now too. This is what that's hiding. It's a distortion pedal with a ton of gain on it, so it's got that going for it. I'm going to kick us back into the normal gain mode and bring our distortion back down to something reasonable. And let's talk about the voice switch. So like I mentioned earlier, in the left position, it's a 2-position switch. Leftmost is classic Proco Rat. Rightmost is a little bit more modernized, a little bit kind of mid-upper, mid-forward, and a little bit less fizzy. Of course, you can adjust that with the filter, the top end. But let me show you the difference. So we're in stock mode right now, the left position, and I'll move it to the right after some playing. Now you can take that voice switch with the changed shape and still, mess with the gain structure switch. So now we've got it a little bit more mid-forward with the voice control, and we can accentuate that in the gain structure as well by moving the gain switch to the left and accentuating the mids there. Compared that to both in the stock position. So I think with the voice to the right and the gain to the left, the more mid-forward position, it becomes a really good lead boost kind of thing, like going from a clean sort of thing to this. Maybe take some more top out with the filter. So for a tiny little pedal, you got a bunch of options available to you as far as voicing a Rat style pedal and getting something just a little bit different than your standard Rat. But yeah, I love the Ratsbane for that sort of just chaotic distortion sort of thing that a lot of the other pedals I have don't really get into that territory without getting just a straight up fuzz. So yeah, that's the Wampler Ratsbane. My name is Bobby. I appreciate you guys checking out the video, watching with me, sticking around. And I hope you enjoyed the tunes. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Not my finest pick slide, but whatever.